Good morning, y'all. It is a beautiful, beautiful morning. We had some rain last night, so my plants are loving life right now. During my garden walk, I noticed that some of my basils have put on some more flowers, and we need to take care of that. And I thought I would show you how to prune basil plants to propagate. And also to make them a nice big bushy plant. I have 4 different varieties of basil in my garden. I have sweet basil, purple basil, I have lime basil, and then an African blue basil. The lime and the African blue I've never grown before, but it just says to prune off the blooms, so I'm hoping that once it blooms, it doesn't change the taste of the basil. Now, I haven't tasted any of these yet. I know what sweet basil and purple basil taste like, but I don't know what these others are supposed to taste like, so I guess I'll try them for y'all. Anyway, I'm going to show you how to prune them so you will get a nice bushy plant and keep the flavor, especially of the sweet basil, because once it flowers, it gets a little medicine-y, and that's not something that I want to use. Anyway, let me show you these different varieties, and let's prune some basil. Alright, y'all. This is my sweet basil. This is the basil that you buy at the store. And this is just one plant. I bought this because none of my basil germinated. I actually started seeds for the purple basil and this basil. None of it germinated. So I ended up having to buy a pot. I bought a little 3-inch pot and separated it out into a couple of areas. One is over in my my flower bed. Anyway, basil is amazing how it grows. So I don't know how well you can see, but it grows with 2 side shoots here, and I call these armpits, and then the main stem. To propagate this basil, to trim the basil, whatever you need to do, you need to cut just above one of these segments. So I'm going to go down because I want this to bush out lower. I am going to go down and find a nice set of leaves, and then I am going to just trim right above it. So clean snips, and then I'm going to go right in here and trim just above that set of leaves, and only trim the leader in the middle. Okay, it looks like you just beheaded this plant, and you actually did, but this is edible, and I'm going to put this over here for just now. Now right in here, 2 new arms will come off, and that is how you make this plant bushier. I'm going to go and do the same thing on this other arm of it. I'm not going to go cut quite as much off, but I'm going to find the first set of arms and then the armpits right here, and I'm going to snip right above it. So instead of having 1 leader, I'm now going to have these 2, and when they come up, I will go ahead and do the same thing to them. And that is how you trim and propagate and make your basil plant bushy and productive all year long. It also keeps, this will be the flowering part, it also keeps them from flowering, which keeps your basil tasting the same. Now some of these arms have come off and produced another set of arms and armpits, so technically I could cut it right here. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let it callus over and let it heal a little bit from this, but in 2 weeks this plant is going to be much bushier, much happier, lots more leaves, and by the time my tomatoes get ready, I am going to be able to slice up some tomato and throw some fresh basil on there and a little bit of olive oil and balsamic vinegar and have a nice garden snack. This one is the purple basil, and it's got some green on it, but you see how pretty that purple is? I am loving it. This is a little bit tall and a little bit leggy. I might have to offer this some support once it gets bushy, maybe not. But I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go in and I'm going to try and cut it pretty far down. I want it to have a couple of sets of these arms and armpits. See, this is an armpit right here that's already grown up. That whenever I cut it right here above that, that's just going to encourage it to get very, very tall. I'm going to throw that in my bucket, and I'm going to do the same thing with this other side. And I am just going to take the top off of this one. Okay. This only has really one set of leaves on this part, so I'm going to leave that be and let it put on some more growth before I come back and prune it again. Right next to my purple basil and my sweet basil is one of my lime basil plants. Now this one gets sun earlier than the other two. I have 3 total. This one gets sun earlier, and it has already started putting on flowers. So I am going to go through first and cut all of these flowers off. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and prune this down. I'm going to do the same thing I did on the purple and on the sweet basil, and that should take care of all of these flowers on here. And then we're going to go over to the ones that don't get sun as early. They're still in shade actually right now. And we are going to check and see if there's a difference in the taste in this one that's already flowering and the other two that are not. Once again, this one is flowering on these top armpits right here, so I'm going to go ahead and snip those off. These are flowering a lot. Normally I will just come through here and just pinch them. But I want to make sure that I get all of them off. And I'm going to take this one down to that set. That way I know that they are not flowering. They don't have a flowering set. Let me finish picking these off, and I will show you the results. Alright, I am done. I'm lying. I said I was done pruning, but I'm going to go ahead and pull that off. So I've taken it down quite a bit. This is what I have so far. This is the flowering lime basil, purple basil, of course, and my sweet basil. Now I'm going to go to the non-flowering lime basil, and let's see if we can taste a difference. Alright, I have 2 lime basil plants over here. This one gets hit with sun later than that one, and even this one. This one has started to put on some blooms. So let me pull a leaf off of this one and see what it tastes like. Wow. Really, really citrusy. It's really strong too. You wouldn't need to use very much of that. Now I'm going to find one of these that has a flower on it. This is the ones we just pulled off of there. And a bug. And I'm going to see if this one with the flower on it tastes any different. And it does. It definitely does. So I don't know what I'm going to do from this point. I don't like the flavor of this, so I won't be keeping that. It's really the lime flavor, the citrusy flavor is gone, and it's been replaced with medicine-y taste. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with that plant. This one might be salvageable. Let me try one of these and just see. Oh yeah, This one is way better. That one had a lot of flowers on it. So I'm going to go ahead and prune these down, and I'll leave that one there and just know that I'm not going to be using that for eating. This we will, and this we will. And then I will show you how to take a cutting off of one of these and plant it. So get a whole new basil plant. So let me go ahead and get these. Yeah, I'm gonna have basil on my teeth. Let me go ahead and get these pruned, and I will find some nice long pieces that we can put in the ground to replace that one. And hopefully I'll be a little bit more diligent in keeping the blooms off of that one. Yeah. This is getting thrown out into the cow pasture. I don't know if the cows are going to eat it. We're going to give it to them. All right, last but certainly not least is this beautiful African blue basil. I just bought it because it said blue basil. Yeah, I don't know nothing about this. It's definitely for culinary use. It says it's really good on fish, meat, poultry, white beans, rice, eggs, cheese, vegetable. I'm not putting basil on white beans. Okay, anyway. So this has been flowering for a while, and I mean a while. Y'all, it got up to almost 100 degrees here a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, I'm sure all of my plants are a little bit confused. But it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So I am going to go ahead and prune this the same way that I did the others. I have no idea what this is supposed to... Yeah, I don't know what it's supposed to taste like. Let me find a leaf and try it. Ugh. It smells really good. Sorry, y'all. That was yucky. That is yucky. And I don't know if it's supposed to taste like that or it tastes like that because it's flowered. Once plants put on flowers, once these put on flowers, it changes the taste. So I'm going to go ahead and prune this back. Why, I have no idea. Because it doesn't need to get bigger, and I'm not going to use it for anything. I'm just going to go ahead and prune it back to size control it a little bit, because I have some space to put things in here. But I will not be eating this because it's disgusting. And it's probably my own fault. I can't see any basil tasting disgusting if you take care of it the way you should. So do not let your basil flower. Keep on it. Do not let it put on flowers, y'all, because that's nasty. Okay. Let me prune this. I'm going to show you what I've got to take in and what I've got to propagate. I will get that part planted and take the rest in for use with dinner. Okay. I lied to y'all. I did not throw all of that flowered lime basil to the cows. I want to do a little bit of an experiment. So this is the one that tasted nasty. I want to see if I plant this and it grows a new plant, if it still tastes nasty, or if you can actually propagate off of this to kind of save. I have a whole plant there that I'm not going to be able to use for what I needed to use it for. So that kind of upsets me. So, and it's my own fault. It's my own fault. I let it flower. My own fault. So I'm going to see if I can use some parts of it to make a new plant that tastes the way it's supposed to before it flowered. So all you do in that case, I'm going to go ahead and cut off the top of the flower because we don't need that. I'm going to pull off these bottom two And I'm going to stick that right down in some soil. And I have about 4 of them here. And I'm going to do the same thing to those. I've already cut off the flower on this one. They're kind of floppy because I've already done that. It's been a minute. So I'm going to leave just a few leaves on the top. Put that down in the soil. This one had a big flower stalk. Pop these off right here. One more, because I wanted to have a really good shot at these actually rooting. I'm not going to use any rooting hormone. I'm just going to pop these right down into a pot. Now, I'm not giving these space in my garden. I'm going to put these in that's a 4-inch pot, because I don't know if they're going to be any good. The only thing that I would give space in my garden is something that I know is that I know is good, that I love, and I'll just pop that down in there whenever I'm propagating like this. So this is the pot. It has regular the same soil that I have everything growing in the garden, in my raised beds. And let me raise this up so you can see. So this is nice and wet. It was sitting out here. I didn't have anything in it. And I'm just going to put those right down in the soil. Y'all, there's ants. And I'm just going to cover that up. And that is all you do with these. Now, you could take cuttings off your basils, get you a mason jar with some water, and put those right down inside there and keep them in your window. If you're not ready to use your basil, your trimmings, if you don't need them to cook with right now, put them in some water in your windowsill, and they will grow roots and they will stay alive. So we're going to do that. I'm going to place this in a shady area for just right now and let it acclimate just a little bit before it gets hit with the hot sun. It's only supposed to get up to like 79 today, which is a cold front for us in Texas. So I'm going to set this down and let me show you what I've got in my bucket. I could do the exact same thing with this, and I just might. I would love to have some more of the sweet basil. So I have that. I have this one. This one would be the best one to plop down in the ground. I might try that. And then, of course, my purple basil, I only have a couple of nice cuttings on that. Y'all, these bugs are driving me nuts. So I'm going to try to propagate this piece and this piece, and I'm going to do what I just did, but I'm going to plant those directly into my raised garden beds. Alright guys, basil is amazing. I love it with my fresh tomatoes. From the looks of my tomato plants, I'm going to have a decent harvest this year. I've got lots of good slicers, and I love eating some fresh raw tomato. And throwing some fresh homegrown basil on top of it is just a plus. So y'all, grow some basil. Hyla, I know you have started your basil from seed and it's coming up really good. You're going to need some of this information here in a few weeks. So save it and come back and watch. All right, y'all, that is it. Grow some basil. It's delicious if you don't let it flower. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.